Hey, what's up? Todd Mackey here. Just wanted to share with you a little bit about what's happening right now with the world. As if you don't know. I mean, come on, you gotta know what's going on around you. But I figure I'd give you my perspective and what I've been learning about and what I think is about to happen in the next year or two, maybe 3. It just seems that we've gotten ourselves into so much of a debt conundrum that we are finding ourselves paying more and more and getting less and less. Now, I think with the huge amount of dollars that are outstanding, in other words, the government sanctioned this Federal Reserve, which is actually a private Federal Reserve system that profits a bunch of people that are secret. We don't know who's making profits off of it. But essentially they can go out and they can print the world's money supply through the United States dollar production. And every dollar that's printed into existence is a debt to our society. It's a note that we actually owe money on to the Federal Reserve. It just doesn't make sense to me how we still live in this system where we have to pay somebody to use the money. I mean, we earn the money, we work for money, we get paid in dollars that are actually notes of debt to the Federal Reserve Bank, which is totally bewildering to me. And it's time that we switch the system of money supply that we currently use to a sound system that doesn't rely on debt. It's just my opinion. I mean, if I could, I'd gather up all the quarters that I could, start printing up all the quarters that I could, and then just start bringing them to the Federal Reserve and paying down our debt and saying, listen guys, we don't need your notes anymore. We got all these quarters now to take care of the debt that you guys are putting in our society. And that's where it's backwards for me. That's where I just cannot understand what's going on with why the things are the way they are and how they work that way. But just because they print dollar bills and $100 bills and notes, that's one way of creating money. The other way that they create money is by going like this. They have a little keyboard underneath their fingers and they start typing in digits into the computer, and they actually create money out of thin air. A guy named Ben Bernanke, who was the former Federal Reserve chairman that ran that bank I'm talking about called the Fed, he actually said in an interview that they printed money out of nothing. Basically nothing. Like nothing backs their money that they print. They just put it out in society, and they bailed out a major company called AIG. And AIG was a sound company for a number of years. They got themselves in over their heads because they insured some silly things or whatever. And whatever, they lost a bunch of money. They're about to go bankrupt. And then all of a sudden, the Federal Reserve is like, oh, you guys are going to fail. Let me just punch in a few numbers and send it your way, and you guys are good to go. All right, no worries. Just pay us back with interest at a later date. And it just bewilders me how they can do this over and over again and not have any kind of repercussions for it. In the meantime, and all the money that they're getting back in interest seems like it's just profit, right? The money they're getting back in interest is profit. But they don't share that profit with the United States citizens. They don't share that profit with us and help build nice roads across the United States or better bridges or anything. What do they do with that money? They give it to their shareholders because they're a private reserve system. It's like, okay, make a couple guys rich off of every single American that uses one of your notes, and guess what? It's a world reserve currency, so every single person in the world is using your notes and therefore are making you guys rich in the process. I mean, tell me you don't know about it already, and tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm not being 100% forthright. But the main concept here is that we got to have control of our own money. We can't put it in the hands of a couple of private individuals that just seem to create money out of nothing and then give it to people in the process, the expectation of getting some back. And then once they get it back, they get to share the profits with their buddies. I don't get it. I don't get it why in 1913 we were duped as a nation, thinking that it was an awesome opportunity for us to go ahead and do something like that. It just doesn't make sense to me. Why on earth? Why in all of heaven and earth would we as Americans give our sovereign dollar to a group of private individuals in hopes that they would benefit the rest of the world? You got me. You got me there. I am searching my memory bank far and wide, trying to think of any kind of reason in the past I might have learned about as to why they do that. And I can't think of anything. And I do know also that the whole thing with the boom and the bust cycles that we have in the system of the United States economy and the world economy is created in part, in due part, because of the Federal Reserve Bank system, where you have a boom that occurs once these banks start to loan so much money into the economy that it spurns business into creating more factories, which produce more goods, which produce more jobs, and then the spillover effect into the economy is cheaper goods, but it should be higher paying jobs. And recently we haven't had any high paying jobs. They have exported all of the jobs that could have been created here in the U.S. overseas because of these trade deals, and corporations have went to the farthest ends of the earth, which are able to become seaports. In other words, they've gone to places like China, Indonesia, Bangladesh, maybe parts of India. It used to be Japan and Taiwan, all of these areas next to the ocean where they can park their big boats, set up these giant factories, hire these people for pennies on the dollar to create goods that we're going to spend massive amounts of money for after they ship them all back to the U.S. under a free trade deal. Sounds great in theory, but the corporations, obviously, their sole purpose in life is to make a profit, so they're going to exploit every opportunity they can to some kind of impoverished part of the world and tend to give them better economic opportunity. At the same time, they're going to be doing harm to the American people by taking jobs away from us, productive jobs that could actually do us a service in case something happened. Like, say we went into a loss of oil or a trade embargo where we couldn't get any oil and we were not able to ship stuff back and forth from sea to shining sea to our gracious golden shores of the USA, and we couldn't unload any of the goods that were produced in those countries. So what do? We rely on our own manufacturing process, which we had to export all of the manufacturing jobs overseas because American wages cannot be sustained in a profit incorporated company. It's bewildering to me how, as Americans, we cannot support our own. If we're a company that was started in the USA, we got our footing here, we got all our investors here, and then all of a sudden we started to build up, and we're like, oh, you know what? It's actually cheaper over there, so USA citizens, I'll see you later. I'm going to go over across the border here and then start paying these people the money, bringing these people the jobs. And it gets into this big thing with jobs, right? And I guess there's a lot of free trade proponents that think that it's a great thing, and I tried to think that it was a great thing at one point, and it's just hard for me to do it. If I come up with some kind of good argument as to why free trade is the best thing, I mean, okay, I think that it's great, right? That the idea, the concept, but how businesses take advantage of it is no bueno. It's no good. They need to stop taking advantage of the people that work in these other countries and paying them pennies on the dollar. Okay, if they're going to pay them a fair wage, fine. But they go in there and they exploit they corrupt their political system through massive amounts of money, promising to bring in all kinds of value to their economic system. And then the second that the government changes their mind and they're like, no, you guys got to raise your wages, then that company is out of there. They're going to the next place that they have spotted on the map where they can exploit. And that's just the system that we have. And it's the free market system. It's the capitalistic system. And I think that the capitalistic system is the best one we got. We can't continue to exploit and marginalize the lowest of the people in the populations, though. And to say that we're doing it for dollars is even worse. To say, I mean, profits in dollars, right? If it was profits in some kind of sound money system, people would have the gall to save up, put money away, actually watch their money grow over time instead of relying on all kinds of debt that has to be paid out. So in other words, if you want to buy a car, it's going to be the largest asset that somebody purchases, right? And it's only an asset as long as you're working with it, as long as it gets you to your job where you make money, as long as you can travel with your family to go see things that are beautiful with the hope of a greater experience in life. That would be an asset producing variable, right? Where you can actually produce some kind of good with the car, and you make this huge purchase. Sometimes if you buy a Ford Ranger, it could be anywhere from $30,000 if it's brand new to a Ford F-150, $65,000 if it's brand new, to a Toyota, which could be $12,500 if it's a couple of years used. So it's up to you. You know, it's a matter of where you want to put your hard-earned money. But the thing is that all this money that we're using is money that is not really ours. It's like it belongs to somebody the second that it's created. So the second that it's put into our account, what we call a bank account, it's not really our bank account. It's money that we could choose to take out of the bank, but the second that we loan it to the bank, it's gone. In other words, they don't have any reason to hold on to it. They just loan it out to the next guy that considered to have good credit. So that guy that's considered to have good credit goes and he buys something. He might take out a loan and buy a car. And in due process, we only need to have like $10 in our bank account for that guy to take out $10,000 in some cases. Or we might have to have $1,000 for that guy to take out $10,000. And then say that there's a scare in the economy, like a fear that there's going to be some kind of crash in the future, or a crash is taking place now, and we all run to the bank. We all try to get out our dollars and hold on to them because we don't trust the bank in holding our dollars. They could go bankrupt and insolvent. And so we go there and we don't have our money because the guy that was there before took all the cash out of the bank. Okay? So we're without cash. We don't have cash in our hands. Now what? It's all leading up to one thing, and that is Bitcoin and Litecoin technologies. Coins that have a mathematical backing with thousands and thousands of microprocessors computing every single minute, every single person's transaction on Earth that use this currency. So it's secured by a network of tens of thousands of computers distributed across the United States, across the world, and it's not in one person's hand. It's not created by one sole entity. It's a computer program that's controlled mathematically so that it only produces a certain number of coins every 2.5 minutes, or every 10 minutes if it's Bitcoin. And the way that you send the money is you take your phone, you put it in front of somebody's little code or their graph. You know, you can produce a key code. You can send them the key code in the email, or you could take a picture of a graph that's generated by the key code and then send that to your little phone camera. Type in the value you wanted to send to that person based on whatever key code they have, and in a second or two they receive the funds in their account. It's as simple as that. It's peer-to-peer transfer of value, peer-to-peer coinage, peer-to-peer cash. It can be a cashless society because nobody's at the bank holding our money anymore. So when the stuff does hit the fan, as I mentioned, in maybe 2, 3, or 4, 5 years down the road, which, I mean, is likely. It's happened in the 1930s, right? The runs on the bank. You had the Great Depression. It almost happened in 2008, right before the Great Recession. So it's likely to happen, but we have to have a backup plan. We have to have a way to run for an outlet of money. But the only way that we can actually create that outlet of money is if we participate in it. It's a voluntary participation in that system that will give us the opportunity to avoid going bankrupt, to avoid having no cash, to avoid insolvency at our depository institutions. Now, the whole process with savings and then loaning money, that's got to be worked out in the future. But as far as we're concerned, in an exchange of value situation, we already have two very wonderful currencies set up. One that I can project into the future that serves as a gold standard, which would be like Bitcoin, and then another coin that would serve as a silver standard, which is like your peer-to-peer cash system, which would be called Litecoin. So these are two operational systems in existence today that the American people can switch to if they realize the value that's backing it. And the value backing it is on the markets. The markets that you see exchanged worldwide. So it's not just the American people that get to use this market, but it's a worldwide system of value that's set up based on people's belief in the currency that's traded on the open market. An unrestricted open market, meaning it's open to manipulation, it's open to fraud, it's open to Ponzi schemes, it's open to all kinds of things. But the important thing is that you're only going to chase the good stuff out there. So if it's a centralized coin that can be easily manipulated, you're not going to go after it. You want to find something that's decentralized, something that doesn't have a pre-mine, meaning somebody didn't create the coin to get rich for themselves, but they created it for the benefit of society and the people that hold the coin and use it. And it was distributed fairly. In other words, it wasn't hacked by some person on an exchange and then distributed to all their buddies. It was actually tracked down from the Genesis block, wherever that might be, and then continued in their hash rate on either every 10 minutes or 2.5 minutes if you choose Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever kind of currency you choose. That's why it's a free market, because we can choose where we place the value. We aren't restricted to the dollar. We aren't restricted to the yen. We aren't restricted to the the RMB, and we're not restricted to the peso. We can transact on any currency that floats in an open market that is perceived to have worldwide value. And currently, the biggest of those is Bitcoin, which currently stands today around $6,000. However, you could call it volatile because of the swings in the market. And if you can't handle the swings of the market, then I'm sorry, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you want to get stuck in a system where you could possibly lose all of your money rather than just a part of it that could grow increasingly every day or lose a little bit of value every day. So until it stabilizes with the huge influx of people that's about to get into it, then it's going to be volatile. Until massive amounts of people adopt this currency, then we're still going to see the swings in an up and down value system, according to the world currencies like the dollar and stuff like that. Other opportunities outside of this digital cash and electronic value exchange would be going back to the old gold standard, the silver standard, using silver as a exchange of value, using gold as an exchange of value. The only problem with that is that you got a lot of fake coins out there. You got a lot of fake gold bars, gold that was maybe it might have lead in the middle and just covered up with gold. So there's a lot of opportunity for scams out there. But at least if you have a digital wallet that says Trezor, or digital wallet that says Ledger, or some kind of Exodus wallet on your hard drive, you can keep the value of whatever you purchase indefinitely, forever and ever. Unless there's like a worldwide power outage, that you might be out of the coin for a short amount of time. But the good news is that there's a Bitcoin node running in outer space and a satellite, and it's on solar power, constantly beaming down to Earth to update its blockchain. So you're always going to have a fallback plan if something happens with the power systems here on Earth. When you travel to other planets like the moon, or you go to Mars, how are you going to exchange value from spaceship to spaceship? Are you going to call up the Federal Reserve Bank and ask for a wire transfer to that other guy's bank? No, you're just going to send him the money through your phone or through his computer. It's going to be a simple value exchange with a couple of keys typed on a keyboard, copy and paste of his public key, and then send him the money through yours. It's like, great. It's easy, man. Too easy, actually. I'm surprised that it's not picking up more. But I think I've talked long enough about the subject and where I think that my perspective lies in the current system and the way that we see ourselves. Now it's up to you to start the discussion amongst your friends and family. And start saying, hey, what's going to happen if this goes on? Are we set? Do we have enough cash in our bank account? Do we have enough cash under our mattress if there is a worldwide run on the banks? Do we have enough Bitcoin? Do we have enough Litecoin saved up electronically? Do we have enough gold? Do we have enough silver coins to trade? If you like ammunition and you live in Texas, then do you have enough ammunition saved up to hunt all the deer that you need to get for your buddies and use that as some kind of exchange traded mechanism? So all kinds of things, you know, it's like your mind can just go down this rabbit hole of what can happen, but we won't know until we actually get there. So that's why I'm throwing out these ideas for you. I think that it's an awesome opportunity now to get involved in the inevitable value exchange process that's going to take place between either the dollar system that overinflates and eventually has to go somewhere else, you know, because we find all of these asset bubbles like the stock market. We found it in real estate, and it seems to be going back into real estate. We see it in multiple areas of our life, including agricultural products such as food. If you buy food, everything at the store is going up. You know, milk is going up. Oil is going up. You want to buy gas, your gas prices are going up. So we're going to run into this problem eventually. And it's up to us as citizens, free citizens, to make the decision for ourselves what we should do with our lives and how to preserve all of the hard-earned capital that we have worked for over the years. And that's why I'm saying diversify not your stock portfolio, but diversify your assets, your asset portfolio. Figure out how much stock you really want to keep in the stock market, what kind of stocks you want to buy, what kind of gold and silver coins you want to buy, and how much, what kind of exchange you want to go to get your Litecoin or to get your Bitcoin. Do you want to go to Coinbase where there's a fee, or do you want to go to GDAX where there might not be a fee, which is now called Coinbase Pro? Do you want to go to a neighbor on the street who might have some gold coins for sale? I found an excellent silver coin at a garage sale for like $30 under the market price. I was like, excellent, man. I got a great deal from a guy that's just wanting to get rid of it out of his garage. And things like that, I mean, you can't find everywhere. So keep your eyes open, keep your mind free, and not be constrained by the thoughts that are going through the television sets or the radios. Start reading books that are valuable, you know, to your future, that will provide you with alternative ideas that might think in a different way, or particular thought process that might be a little different. But again, I continue to harp on subjects you already know about. Maybe it's just something reinforcing in your mind, but I wanted to get that out and share with you because I think the time is nigh, the time is right, and it's something that everybody has to experience at least one point in their life. I mean, my grandparents did. I know that their grandparents did, and I just hope that I'm prepared for my family when it happens to us. So God bless you. Stay prepared, stay vigilant. I always say trust in the Lord, lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path. Stay truthful, my friends.